Joe Noga's with us. He covers the Guardians, of course. Joe, what's your favorite sports movie?
Oh gosh, I can't pass up Miracle every time it's on.
It's a good one.
Every time Miracle is on, I have to watch it. And Hoosiers, I go back to Hoosiers.
Both classics.
Good
Have
choices.
you seen Miracle, by the way?
The hockey movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you just ask the hockey
Well,
movie?
you made it sound like I wasn't 100% sure.
What
so
other miracle would there be?
Miracle on 34th Street?
Yeah.
Nobody cares about that old movie. It's ancient history. Joe, I'm sure you just heard our conversation a little bit about, being aggressive. And we know the Guardians in recent years, really since the pandemic, have not been aggressive when they've had it. But this seems like the perfect opportunity this year. They are far and away the best team in the division. They're right there. They have, at the moment, a better record than both Baltimore and the Yankees. But on paper, those teams are better. And the Guardians, as great as they're playing, they're going to need some reinforcements at some point, especially in the pitching staff. What say you? Do you have confidence that this team will be aggressive this year?
I agree that they do need to add. I agree that if there was a time for them to do so, it's exactly right now. In past years, you might have been able to sort of understand why they didn't make a big move like they could have. But will they make a move like you're talking about trading Manzardo, trading from this depth at the upper minor leagues? I don't know. I'm not confident that they will. I'm hopeful that they will, just because I want to see how far this team can go. And I think you need to add an arm and add a bat if they're going to do that. I don't think that the front office really is inclined to make a major move and give up all of that depth at the top of the upper minor leagues.
Joe, I don't think they're moving Manzardo or Gavin Williams or anything like that. I think Manzardo is the replacement for Josh Naylor.
Yeah.
Which leads into this is it. This is the window. You've got, what is it, a year and a half left with Naylor? He's not signing an extension. Mm-hmm. It would have happened already if he was going to do it. Kwan heads into arbitration next year. It probably would have happened already if he was going to sign an extension. It's pretty, just read the tea leaves here of what's going on. This is the window right now to win before you have to start making some really hard roster decisions. Am I way off on that?
I mean, we don't know what's beyond the next few years in terms of what the ownership situation is, in terms of what budgets or finances are going to look like by the time maybe a Stephen Kwan reaches free agency and that kind of thing. So who knows who's going to be holding the purse strings at that time. But I agree that an opportunity like this doesn't come around every year. It's not. You need to strike now. Absolutely, this is when you need to push forward, push your chips on the table, and go and get an arm, go and get a bat, and then in the off season when these kind of deals are made, if you decide that Stephen Kwan is the next face of your franchise beyond Jose Ramirez, then you back up the Brinks truck.
Joe, do you trust Triston McKenzie on a scale of 1 to 10? Where would your trust level in Triston fall?
Probably somewhere between a 5 and a 7, just because he can get guys out with the stuff that he has right now. It's just the consistency in the strike zone when he can't command his fastball, and he's walking guys, he's giving up home runs. But here's the thing: he'll give up a home run early in a game and then settle in and retire 12 of the next 14. We haven't seen it his last couple of starts, but it's there. He's got the ability to do that. He's certainly got the ability to do that against AL Central teams. I just don't know if, you use the word trust, I don't know if I trust him to go up against a lineup like Baltimore's where, top to bottom, they can take you out of the yard, and there's no rest in that lineup. There's nowhere to catch a break in that lineup. And I think right now, Triston McKenzie's struggling with to command his fastballs. The confidence is there. The ability to get guys out is there. He says he's not pitching in pain. He says his arm is sound. So you got to take him at his word.
Joe, when do you expect us to see Gavin Williams in the Guardians rotation?
I think he's got his next rehab start coming up. I believe it's going to be for Columbus this week, and then after that, maybe one start before the All-Star break,
Right.
maybe one or two starts before the All-Star break, and then he goes from there. I expect that he'll be ready, just because we haven't heard any reports of any setbacks or any sort of lingering issues. Now it's been full go since that injection a couple months back.
Joe, I know you cover this team, and the crowds this year have been, big. They're up to 22nd in attendance, as Bo mentioned earlier, and just the overall vibes of the team seem to be way up. Is there any tangible difference you've noticed from being around them from last season to this season that you think have contributed to that?
I don't really know if it's a difference from last season to this season. I just think that like you said, the vibe is really good. It was a party atmosphere at the ballpark this past weekend. I mean, you had Shaq on the infield. You had
awesome.
Triston McKenzie singing Kelly Clarkson standing next to him. It was just a real vibe in the ballpark. 100,000 fans for the 3-game series came out. Just the energy has been great, and it starts in the clubhouse. It starts with Stephen Vogt allowing these guys to be themselves and feel free to go out there and play the game the way that they do. And you've got Jose Ramirez leading from the top. The young guys taking their cues from him, the energy that he brings, and it's infectious, and it's now reaching out into the stands, and you can see it. It was a party atmosphere in that ballpark all weekend.
Explain the power surge.
Great question.
It's the wind. It's clearly
tunnel.
the wind tunnel, right? It's the wind tunnel. That's the only reason you can have no. I go back to Terry Francona saying when Stephen Kwan was, putting up ridiculous numbers his first month in the big leagues back in 2022. These guys are going to grow into their power. Andres Jimenez, even Josh Naylor to a point, but he was already there. You're talking about a team of young guys who are learning the league and learning how pitchers are going to try to attack them. And now Stephen Kwan doesn't spot you that first pitch fastball in the strike zone anymore. He takes you out of the yard when you throw him that. They've got guys now who their approach is a lot better than it has been, and not just a better approach, but they're learning how to execute that approach. And I think that's what's resulted in this power surge and this ability to be more aggressive and still make contact and still be one of the best contact hitting teams in the league. But now if you make a mistake, they're going to make you pay for it. And we've seen that. And maybe opening up the upper deck in right and left field kind of helped that out. There's still a lot to be determined in terms of data with that wind tunnel theory and all that. But it can't hurt. And now you've got guys who are at least putting the ball up there into the stratosphere to let the wind carry it out of the ballpark. I think I've been in contact with some physicists, a guy from the University of Illinois who's a foremost authority on baseballs in flight and that kind of thing. And he says that the average carry and the average distance is increased this year at Progressive Field. So it's something to keep an eye on over the next 2 or 3 years. But I think it has more to do with the approach that's being taken by these young, aggressive hitters, more so than any sort of physical changes to the ballpark.
Joe, let's wrap it up with this. Forget 400. Only 4 batters have hit 375 in a season or higher in the last 50, 60 years, right? You had Tony Gwynn, Larry Walker, I think Rod Carew, and George Brett, I believe, are the only guys that have hit over 375. If you had to bet today, Stephen Kwan, over, under 375, what are you betting?
I would bet under, but I think he would make it very interesting and keep it very close throughout the year.
Yeah.
Since he's come back off the injured list, he's been phenomenal. Like I said, combining that contact ability with aggressiveness now in the strike zone. Stephen Vogt said, if you make a mistake, if you miss in the zone, Stephen Kwan's going to make you pay, and that's what he's been doing. It's not just it's the ability to take walks as well, and the command of the strike zone that he's shown since he arrived in Cleveland. He's got it all. He's putting it all together right now. and he's one of the toughest hitters to get out in all of baseball.
Joe, we appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Joe.
Hey, anytime, guys.